The silent fall of Lexus. No one is talking about. What if I told you one of the most respected luxury car brands in the world is quietly losing its identity without anyone really noticing? No scandals, no massive recalls, no dramatic bankruptcy headlines, just silence. Because while everyone was busy arguing about electric cars, German dominance, and futuristic interiors, Lexus changed. And not everyone is happy about it. This isn't the story of a company that failed. It's the story of a company that won, but may have lost something far more important along the way. Chapter 1. The brand that built its name on perfection, Lexus, didn't just enter the luxury car market, it disrupted it. When it launched, the entire idea was simple but powerful. Build cars that are quieter, smoother, more reliable, and more refined than anything else on the road. And for decades, that's exactly what it did. While European brands focused on performance and prestige, Lexus focused on something almost obsessive: perfection. The doors closed softer, the engines ran smoother, the cabins were quieter than a library at midnight. It became the brand people trusted when they didn't want problems. And that worked. For years, Lexus dominated satisfaction surveys, reliability rankings, and customer loyalty charts. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't aggressive, but it was flawless. And in a world where luxury cars often come with expensive headaches, Lexus felt like the smartest choice you could make. But here's the problem with building a brand of perfection. Perfection doesn't evolve easily, and when the world around you starts changing fast technology, design, performance, electrification, being perfect at the old formula suddenly isn't enough anymore, because eventually the question shifts from, is it reliable, to, is it exciting? And that's where things started to get complicated. Chapter 2. The sales success. That hides a deeper problem on paper. Lexus is doing better than ever. In 2025, the brand hit record-breaking global sales of over 880,000 vehicles. That's not decline, that's dominance. So how can anyone claim Lexus is falling? Because the numbers don't tell the full story. Look closer and you'll see something interesting. Most of that success comes from just a few SUVs: the RX, the NX, and the newer TX. These three models are carrying the entire brand on their shoulders. The RX alone has become such a powerhouse that it outsold individual models from competing luxury brands in major markets. From a business perspective, that's incredible. But from a brand perspective, it's dangerous. Because Lexus is slowly becoming what some critics call a one-type brand, a company defined almost entirely by comfortable, reliable SUVs. Meanwhile, the sedans, the IS, LS, and the coupes like the RC are fading into the background. They're not leading conversations anymore. They're not defining the brand anymore. They're barely even noticed. And when a luxury brand loses diversity in its lineup, it doesn't collapse overnight. It just becomes predictable. Chapter 3. The March in 2026 and a wake-up call. Then came a moment that made people pause. March 2026. Lexus reported a noticeable drop in US sales over 17% compared to the previous year. Now, on the surface, there are reasonable explanations: production slowdowns, supply chain adjustments, market fluctuations. But in the automotive world, perception matters just as much as reality. And this drop triggered something else: doubt. Because for the first time in a while, people started asking, was the Lexus boom just temporary? Is the SUV strategy reaching its limits? Is the brand losing momentum? It wasn't a collapse, not even close, but it was enough to crack the image of unstoppable growth. And once cracks appear, people start looking deeper. Chapter 4. The trickle-up problem. No one expected. Here's where things get really interesting. For years, Lexus had a clear role. It was the luxury version of Toyota. Better materials, better refinement, more prestige. Simple. But recently, something changed. Toyota itself started moving upmarket. Mainstream models began getting better interiors, better tech, better hybrid systems, more premium feel. Cars that used to feel normal started feeling almost luxury, and that created a strange overlap, because now buyers are asking, if I can get 80 to 90% of the luxury experience from a top Toyota, why pay significantly more for a Lexus? This is what analysts call a trickle-up problem. Instead of Lexus pulling Toyota upward, Toyota started creeping into Lexus territory, and that blurs the identity of the brand. Luxury isn't just about materials, it's about separation. It's about feeling like you're stepping into something clearly above everything else. And when that gap shrinks, the entire value proposition starts to weaken. Chapter 5. The technology gap nobody expected. Ironically, while Lexus perfected silence, comfort, and reliability over decades, the world moved towards something louder digital experience, and Lexus didn't move fast enough. Because today, stepping inside a luxury car isn't just about leather quality or ride smoothness anymore. It's about the first 5 seconds, the moment the screen lights up, the animation flows, the system responds to your touch. That's where impressions are made now, and this is where Lexus starts to feel a step behind brands like BMW, Genesis, and even newer players like Lucid Motors, because those brands aren't just building cars, they're building digital environments. Massive curved displays, seamless software transitions, over-the-air updates that constantly evolve the car. It feels alive, like your car is improving over time. Now compare that to Lexus. Yes, the infamous trackpad is finally gone. Yes, touchscreens are here. Yes, things are smoother than before, but it still feels like a system that was updated, not reimagined. Menus still take an extra second to process. Animations feel functional, not futuristic. Voice assistants don't feel as intelligent or integrated, and these things sound small until you live with them every day, because in modern luxury, friction is the enemy. Even a tiny delay feels like a flaw, and Lexus, a brand built on eliminating flaws, is now facing criticism for something it used to dominate: user experience. The deeper issue? Lexus built its identity around mechanical perfection in a world that's shifting toward digital perfection, and those are two completely different games. One is about engineering, the other is about software, and software evolves much faster. That's why some competitors feel like they're 2 to 3 years ahead, not because Lexus can't catch up, but because it didn't prioritize the race early enough. And in a world where TikTok clips, YouTube reviews, and Instagram reels shape perception, the car that looks futuristic wins attention, not the one that quietly does everything right. Because here's the harsh truth: people don't go viral talking about smoothness anymore. They go viral talking about screens. And right now, Lexus doesn't dominate that conversation. Chapter 6, the Performance Identity Crisis. There was a time when Lexus proved something nobody expected: that a brand known for calmness that could also create chaos, real, thrilling, emotional chaos. Cars that weren't just engineered, they were felt. The kind of machines that gave you goosebumps when you pressed the throttle. But today, that side of Lexus feels distant, and enthusiasts can sense it immediately. Because performance isn't something you can fake. You can't replicate it with aggressive bumpers, larger wheels, or sportier badges. And that's where the criticism begins. The F badge once stood for something serious. Cars developed with a clear purpose: to challenge the best performance machines in the world. Now, in many cases, F-Sport feels like a visual upgrade rather than a mechanical revolution. Sharper looks, without sharper performance, and for casual buyers, that might be enough. But for enthusiasts, it feels like something important is missing. Because performance is about storytelling. It's about the engine note that sends chills down your spine, the steering feel that connects you to the road, the unpredictability that makes every drive memorable. And Lexus used to understand that. But now that emotional edge has softened, and while Lexus became more comfortable, more efficient, more refined, it also became less intense, less dramatic, less alive. Meanwhile, competitors continue pushing boundaries with more power, sharper dynamics, more aggressive tuning, because they understand something Lexus seems to be stepping away from. Luxury buyers don't just want comfort, some of them want adrenaline, and when a brand stops delivering that adrenaline, it doesn't lose everyone, but it loses the ones who cared the most. Chapter 7, when Toyota stole Lexus's soul. This is where the story takes a twist that almost feels ironic, because the energy didn't disappear, it just moved. While Lexus leaned further into comfort and refinement, Toyota quietly began doing something unexpected. It started building cars that enthusiasts couldn't ignore. Cars that felt raw, mechanical, engaging. Cars developed under its performance arm, Gazoo Racing. And suddenly, something strange happened. The passion that used to define Lexus started showing up in Toyota showrooms instead. Lightweight sports cars, manual transmissions, engines that begged to be pushed harder. It wasn't about luxury anymore. It was about feeling, and enthusiasts noticed immediately. Because emotion doesn't care about badges. If a car makes you smile, you remember it. If it excites you, you talk about it. And today, many of those conversations are happening around Toyota performance cars, not Lexus ones. That's not a failure of engineering. It's a shift in philosophy. Lexus chose refinement, Toyota chose excitement, and in doing so, the emotional identity that once belonged to Lexus found a new home, which creates a strange dynamic. The luxury brand feels calmer than ever, and the mainstream brand feels more alive than ever. And that wasn't supposed to happen, because when a luxury brand stops being the emotional peak of its own ecosystem, it risks becoming something else entirely, something rational, something predictable, something replaceable. Chapter 8, the electric future that feels late. If you rewind a decade, Lexus looked like a leader. Hybrid technology? It had already mastered it. Smooth transitions between electric and petrol power. Near silent driving. Unmatched efficiency. It felt like the future had already arrived. But then the definition of future changed. Suddenly hybrids weren't enough. The world wanted fully electric. And not just electric, but revolutionary. That's where Lexus slowed down. Its first serious EV effort showed potential, but they didn't redefine expectations. And in today's EV landscape, that's a problem, because competitors like BMW with its iX and Cadillac with the Lyriq aren't just building electric cars, they're building statements. Longer ranges, faster charging, bolder designs, more immersive interiors. These cars don't just compete, they announce themselves. Now look at Lexus. The approach feels cautious, measured, almost transitional. Instead of jumping fully into the EV future, Lexus is leaning heavily on hybrids as a bridge. And from a business perspective, that makes sense. Hybrids are proven, reliable, profitable, but from a perception standpoint, it feels like hesitation. And hesitation in a fast-moving market looks like delay, because EV buyers aren't just buying transportation, they're buying into a vision of the future. And right now, Lexus doesn't feel like it's leading that vision. It feels like it's watching it unfold and carefully stepping in. The risk? By the time it fully commits, the leaders may already be 2 generations ahead. Chapter 9, the shift from dream car to smart choice. There was a time when owning a Lexus meant something more than logic. It felt like a reward, a quiet flex, a symbol that you had made it but didn't need to show off. It balanced 2 worlds perfectly, head and heart. Today that balance is shifting, because Lexus still wins the logical argument. Reliability, top tier. Comfort, exceptional. Ownership experience, stress-free. It's the smartest decision you can make. But here's the uncomfortable question. When was the last time someone dreamed about buying one? Because dreams are irrational, they're emotional, they're driven by desire, not logic. And that's where Lexus is slowly losing ground. It's becoming the brand people respect, not the brand people obsess over. And in the luxury world, that distinction is everything, because people don't spend extra money just to make a smart decision. They spend it to feel something. Excitement, pride, status, passion. And when that emotional spark fades, the brand doesn't become bad. It becomes practical. And practicality, while powerful, rarely creates legends. Chapter 10, is this really a fall? Let's be honest. Calling this a fall might be misleading, because nothing about Lexus looks like failure. Sales are strong, reputation is intact, customer satisfaction remains high. In many ways, Lexus is doing exactly what most companies dream of: delivering consistent success. But that's not what this conversation is about. This isn't about numbers, it's about narrative, because the silent fall isn't something you measure in units sold. You feel it in conversations, in enthusiast forums, in YouTube comments, in the way people talk about the brand. Less excitement, less curiosity, less emotional attachment, and more phrases like, "It's a safe choice," "It's reliable," "It just works." All compliments, but not the kind that build obsession. So is Lexus falling? Financially, no. Strategically, it's actually very smart, but culturally, that's where things get complicated, because Lexus is trading volatility for stability, passion for predictability, excitement for assurance. And that's a conscious decision. The real question is, will that strategy still work in a future where luxury is becoming more emotional, more digital, and more experience driven? Or will Lexus need to reinvent itself again, just like it did when it first entered the market? The question no one is asking. So here's the question that really matters. Not whether Lexus is winning, but what kind of game it's choosing to play. Because there are 2 paths in the luxury world. One is loud, risky, emotional. The other is quiet, consistent, dependable. Most brands chase the first. Lexus has mastered the second, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's incredibly successful. But in choosing that path, Lexus may have quietly stepped away from something rare, something powerful, something that can't be measured in sales charts or reliability scores. Desire. Because at the end of the day, people don't fall in love with perfection, they fall in love with personality. And that's the one thing Lexus might need to rediscover before the silence becomes permanent. What do you think? Is Lexus actually falling? Or just evolving into something smarter? Would you choose excitement or reliability? Drop your thoughts below because this debate is far from over. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe because the stories behind these cars are always deeper than they seem.